Kia mō tahi te hoi, kia horo tahi te hoi, kia piri, kia tata, ki te mito o taku hoi, ki taha tū o te rangi. Ko Aotearoa inga nguru nei au, au e ha, hei. I te tao toku whaia, he uri no Waikato. I te tao toku mātua, he uri no Ngāpuhi. Ko ai au, ko Tupuria King toku ingoa, no reira tēnā koutou katoa. The haka you just witnessed, or part of the haka you just witnessed, was composed by Mark Waitai, specifically for Ngā Kaihui o Aotearoa. Not only does it pay tribute to the pioneers of wakaama here in Aotearoa, but the first clubs that were established, Ngā Hoihoro, Mārekura, and Mitimatanga Ole Pacifica. It reinforces the importance of coming together, working in unison, facing fear and uncertainty with courage and determination, whilst maintaining the rhythm and the drive necessary to keep our waka moving forward in the right direction. As a young Māori boy from Broadwood, I was 7 years old when I first picked up my paddle, stood in knee-deep water and practiced my stroke for the first time. Back in those days, it was more of a seasonal thing for us, for my family. I remember my father would throw us into the back of his old van, no seats, so he'd lay a mattress down for us kids to sit on, and we'd head to Paoringa, the home of Ngā Hoihoro. Long, bumpy, dusty roads, across farmlands, dodging stray cattle and horses. If you know, you know. And it was here where I first hopped in a V1 or one man, and I paddled out on my own, and I got stuck on a sandbar. And I remember screaming back to my whānau back on shore for help. I was probably crying, to be honest. But here marked the beginning of a lifelong journey in a waka that I'll be eternally grateful for. My journey in wakaama has been anything but mainstream, full of unique challenges that have tested my mental strength and resilience at times. Yet, it's facing these challenges, often with the support of those around you, that helps pave a path towards success. As a young Māori boy from Broadwood, I never dreamed that I would have become a Sir Edmund Hillary Scholar and completed a master's degree in sport, health and human performance, focused specifically on the sport of wakaama. One of the earliest challenges I faced was back in my last year of high school. And although I wasn't the worst student, in my mother's words, I was a little bit too cruisy. And I actually failed to get university entrance. So I was faced with a challenge. This made me question whether even university was for me. Was I up for it? Could I handle it? And I had two choices: 6-month bridging course just to get there, or take a completely different path in life. Luckily, I chose to take the 6-month bridging course, and it was one of the best things that ever happened for me. Not only did the bridging course set me up well for university, but going to university was the thing that gave me the time, the power, the knowledge to really pursue my passion in wakaama. As a young Māori boy from Broadwood, I never dreamed that I would win 12-time national Premier Men sprint titles here in Aotearoa. Another challenge that I faced also in my last year of high school, I played a bit of rugby back in my time from young to my last year. Nowhere near as good as my wife here, Tupuria King. But in my last year, I suffered really bad shoulder dislocations from playing rugby. Got to the point where minor tasks, the shoulder would pop out and I have to get my mates to lift my elbow and pop it back in for me. And the doctor gave me two choices. He said, you either get surgery or you take the year off and let it heal on its own. I chose to take the year off, and it was around about the same time that I was leaving home for university, away from the supervision of my parents, my coaches, and I fell into a bit of a destructive path of partying, drinking, and I didn't really have any sense of direction. Not only did I stop playing rugby, I stopped paddling altogether. And it wasn't until a couple of my closest friends sat me down one day and gave me the kōrero. Anybody had the kōrero? It was then I realized something had to change. First thing I did was I signed up at the university gym, and at the time, Rich Froning was winning all his CrossFit games, and I watched one of his documentaries, and he actually motivated me to get in the gym and train really hard. No paddling at the time, but I ended up losing 15 kgs, probably a little bit more than I should have at that time, but it got me back on track. And I figured, I've done all this training, I may as well put it to use. So that year I decided to get back in the waka, and that year, 2013, I won my very first Premier Men's Sprint Championship. Sometimes it's the toughest times or the hardest lessons in life that create the necessary pivot towards growth or change. As a young Māori boy from Broadwood, I never dreamed that I would have traveled to 11 different countries and attended 9-time world championships for waka ama, having coached the last 3 of those campaigns for the elite men's division. I still remember the first time I had a phone call. This was back in 2007, 14 years old. I was sitting in my lounge with my whānau, and my coach at the time, Bruce Kinsey, calls me up, asking if I want to go to the Whakaiva in Rarotonga. I think that's happening this week. As soon as I put that phone down, I was jumping around the lounge in excitement, couldn't wipe the smile off my face. And that opportunity was the first of many phone calls, and I can't believe where the places waka ama has taken me. Not only to the world championships, countless world championships, the last 3 alone, we've been to London, Samoa. This year we went to Hilo, which had 27 countries competing. But other places that you thought waka ama wouldn't even exist, places like Hong Kong, Singapore, Brazil, these places, amazing places I never thought I'd go to. But a couple of the races that I want to really highlight tonight are the ones that are a little bit more closer to heart. First one being the Te Aito in Tahiti is one of the most prestigious one-man races in the world, where you line up with 500 plus paddlers, 28-kilometer distance, and not only is it a special race, but reconnecting with our Tahitian ancestors, our whānau, our neighbours, has been a really special thing. Another race that I'd like to highlight is the Molokai Hoi in Hawaii, a 66-kilometer race across the Kaiwi Channel from the island of Molokai back to Oahu. And again, reconnecting with our ancestors. It's been a really awesome experience. And last but not least, the Hawaii Nui Va'a, 128 kilometers over 3 days, spanning 4 different islands: Huahine, Raiatea, Taha, and Bora Bora. And you know, as we say, Hawaii Nui, Hawaii Roa, Hawaii Pā Mau Mau, some of these islands are very special to not just Māori, but Tahitian and Hawaii. So reconnecting to some of these races has been some of the best experiences of my life. As a young Māori boy from Broadwood, I never dreamed that I would have founded a Māori business, Train Like a King, alongside my business partner here, Irene Matila Kupa, moko of the esteemed Dame Whina Kupa. She's here tonight too. Paddling, waka ama, is largely a self-funded sport, and as most paddlers or parents are aware of, it isn't cheap. Canoes, paddles, club fees, travel fees, uniforms, you name it. And as my studies started to come towards an end, and I was starting to wonder, how do I sustain such an adventurous paddling lifestyle? In 2018, I was in Singapore for some coaching clinics, and I met Irene for the first time, coaching the Kiwi Waka Ama team there. Not long after this, Irene reaches out to me and asks if I want to turn what I already do into something a little bit more official. I never knew anything about running a business, paying tax, GST, all of these things. Don't get me started on IT or design. Shout out to Alicia, who's here tonight too. However, often it's the people around you and the support around you that help you to keep pushing forward despite the challenges that you may face. And a bit like the waka, the people that you have in your waka, it's really important to keep you moving forward. So we started in 2019, and we've had some amazing success over the years. Everything from kākahu to paddles to training plans, coaching clinics all around the world. And we're continuing to grow day by day. Make sure you check out trainlikeaking.com, whānau. But again, through the support of others, sometimes other people will support you and believe in you more than you believe in yourself. So, as a young Māori boy from Broadwood, I never dreamed that I would have paddled all around the world. And I did a little bit of a deep dive into my time as a competitive paddler. Although I started at the age of 7 back in 2000, I didn't really start training competitively or seriously until 2013, around about the time I went to university, when I put my kind of studies to use. And an elite paddler trains anywhere between 6 days a week, 2 to 3 times a day. But for the last 12 years, from 2013 to this day, I've averaged probably between 65 to 100 kilometers per week. Now, if I take the lower end of that average, 65 kilometers, over 12 years, 12 years times 52 weeks in a year times 65 kilometers equals 40,560 kilometers. This distance is enough to paddle to the island of Tahiti about 10 times. This distance is enough to paddle to the island of Hawaii. Did I say Tahiti? Tahiti about 10 times. This distance is enough to paddle to the island of Hawaii about 6 times. But the craziest thing about this distance is that it's enough to paddle the entire circumference of the earth. So when I say, as a young Māori boy from Broadwood, I never dreamed I would paddle around the world, I quite literally meant it. A waka is a metaphor for life. Things aren't always going to be smooth. Sometimes the seas are rough. The current feels like it's pulling you in different directions, and you feel like you're paddling against the tide. But, like in waka ama, you learn to keep steady, to stay focused, and to push through the challenges with resilience and teamwork. Life, like paddling, is about adjusting to the rhythm of the waves, embracing the journey with its highs and its lows, and knowing that with persistence, you'll reach your destination. And last but not least, whānau, no matter where your background, no matter the age, no matter the training level, there's always a seat in the waka for you. Toi tū te waka, toi tū te tiriti. Kia ora.